Hello and welcome to another Tuesday Talk with Ruby Reese. My name is Killian. I'm co-founder at Ruby Reese and I will also be your host. This week I've been thinking a lot about small businesses and not just the tip of the iceberg that we see, but also all of the behind the scenes things that are going on that make up our small businesses and indeed the bulk of our small business community as well. So I suppose we all see what's going on social media and we see product launches and we see physical events. But what we don't see is all the preparation that goes into them. We don't see the accounting part, the research and development into product creation, the training, the equipment, all of that kind of part of things. So there's so much work that goes into it, and it doesn't really matter whether you're a trainer or behaviorist or a groomer or you make, innovative new products. I think all small businesses, be they service or product based, there's so much more going on than what the rest of the world sees. So I suppose that's a little homage to everyone that's out there really putting an awful lot of work into providing for the Irish community, particularly the Irish pet and dog communities that we are so involved in and are delighted to be part of. This week we had the pleasure of speaking with a small business owner himself, a small business that's doing big things, and someone that's also very, very involved in working with small businesses. And it's been an absolute pleasure to look behind the scenes, behind one of Ireland's biggest pet events, and that is, of course, Pet Expo. And now I'm going to invite you to listen into the conversation that I had with Pet Expo's Michael. Michael, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast this week. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Killing good. All good here.
Would you do us the pleasure of introducing yourself briefly?
Okay. Well, I'm Michael. I'm the man behind the scenes at Pet Expo, as you can probably tell. I'm from Dublin. And we took over. Well, I took over the Pet Expo many, many years ago, and we're back running now. The last 2 years up in Dublin. Um, and Well, I suppose there's plenty more to talk about, but I'll let you ask the questions anyway.
Loads more, and I'm really, really excited to hear all about the history of Pet Expo. You said it's been running for a couple of years. So how old is Pet Expo, and where did it begin?
Well, it began with two ladies. Two ladies started it about 15, 16 years ago. 16 years this year.
Yeah.
Started it in Dublin. They basically had it in the RDS. They had it in Punchestown. And when I took it over, we started in the RDS. The first year I took it over, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
We started in the RDS, in the big hall in the RDS. I'm not too sure. There's about 7 or 8 halls in the RDS. So the girls used to use the small hall.
Yeah.
And me being optimistic, I suppose, when I took it over, I went with the big hall, and it was huge. But it was brilliant. It was great, especially for the first year. It was a bit risky,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it really worked well. It worked well. So as I said, yeah, the RDS, Punchestown, and the National Show Centre now over in Swords, which has been perfect for the venue that it is. And as you know, we've tried and we've done outdoors in Mallow.
Yeah.
Did Mullingar years ago as well. We got 3 days of rain. That was
Okay. Lovely.
a complete washout. Outdoor events can be so risky. And we did Galway, and Galway was the total opposite. We did first year in Galway. We had thunderstorms, we had lightning, we had the whole place fell apart, and then the following year we had a heat wave. And
Lovely.
with a heat wave, you just can't do pet events. So we've learned a lot from the outdoor events. Where with Dublin, it's indoor. But actually, one thing that we're trying to do this year um, is improve the outdoor options with Dublin.
Okay.
So it is an indoor event, but you've loads of options outdoors. You can spend 6 hours. You can spend all day outside if you want. And I
And
can
you
get into that.
you mentioned a couple of interesting things there. So there were you know, you tested the waters in Mullingar and in Galway. I'm sure loads of people would be very interested to hear whether you'd consider other locations in the future. Is Pet Expo Kerry or Pet Expo Donegal on the cards?
Every year I get asked, especially on social media, oh, why don't you do here? Why don't you do there? I would do everywhere if it was possible, but it's just the
Yeah,
logistics of it is not possible. I actually did Belfast. Belfast was very good.
yeah,
And to be perfectly blunt, it's down to money.
hmm
It's really down to money. The venues, there's a couple of venues around Ireland. There's one or two in Galway. There's two or three in Cork. There's three or four up north. One or two in Belfast. But it's like Dublin. Like Dublin has maybe three or four venues,
yeah,
but it's everything falls back to the customer. So if
yeah,
you decide on a particular venue and it's twice the price of another venue, that the cost of them tickets have to go up.
yeah.
So it's an advanced question as um, if you want to go for a particular venue, how cheap can you keep tickets?
And that's
Um,
it, yeah, because I'm sure our listeners will definitely agree with the sentiment. You know, you're not going to want to pay 40, 50 euros per head going into one of these events. Like, it's just never going to happen. I'm sure we could have, you know,
yeah,
champagne reception and everything, but like it's not realistic. It's not a viable
yeah,
event. And
you need to know where to draw the line in
yeah,
advance of, and everything is kind of decided 6 months to 12 months beforehand. So once you commit to something, that's it. Um, and like I wanted last year, sorry for this year, I wanted to do July
hmm
instead of October, and I actually had the same venue booked, and then I went back and cancelled it because when you look at all the pros and cons, uh, the idea of an outdoor event on a summer's day in Ireland, it's brilliant.
the
But
idea is
if it
great.
doesn't, yeah, but like look at the weather that we've had this year, and
That's it.
the weekend that I had planned for the outdoor event in Dublin, it wasn't bad. I remembered when the
Yeah.
weekend came along on it, but I did say I'm glad I changed it because it just came around too fast and there was a lot going on. It was in July. There's a lot going on in kind of in Ireland in June, July, August with all the festivals and everything going on.
Mm.
Um, so I was kind of glad, but in saying that, there is plans. So, um, but I can't say it, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
fair. But I understand as well, like you're working with pet events, so our pets are often very temperature sensitive, and you know we've all seen the dog struggling at other summer events on certain days, you know, looking for shade here and there. I'm a passionate Frenchie owner. We know exactly what it's like to have a dog that's struggling because it's 21 and a half degrees. So
yeah,
like it's understandable that you have those considerations as well, and you have to keep everything in mind, you know. Not that good weather is something that
but
we have to worry about too much in
it's
Ireland.
we had I had four plans for 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2019. So we did three in 19. We did Belfast, Dublin, and Cork.
Mm.
Um, I keep saying we. It's as I've said to you before. It's me, but I don't know. Um, and then we were looking at Galway again. But as I said, the last time we did Galway, it was 30 degrees. It was the hottest day in Galway
Mm.
recorded in like 34 years or something. And I actually we cancelled the dog show. So we
Yeah.
cancelled all the classes. We had like eight classes,
Yeah.
and we cancelled them and we put all the dogs into the one event, and we brought the dog show down to about 30 minutes. And we just emphasised on the heat. But to be perfectly honest, everybody went to the beach. There
Yeah.
was nobody. We had it in Galway races. Um,
hmm
and we didn't do anything differently. We were expecting thousands of people. It was just too warm. It was the first really, really good day of the year. But it was also too hot to be going into, say, Galway races or even public transport or even sitting in the car for an hour.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so we just basically, we can only presume that we sat down,
And I
enjoyed
mean,
the
it's
water.
it's a very logical conclusion to come to, really, because like anyone that's been to an Irish beach on a halfway sunny day will know like that everyone has a run in that same direction. So it's no surprise really. And I suppose
So,
like going back to into the history of the events, then like what drew you towards specifically towards pet events?
okay. I got dragged into pet food by accident. So I
Okay.
was my background was transport. I had
Hmm.
two or three. I had a transport, a courier franchise, and I was a management of a I was in management of a transport company, and then I was logistics and stuff like that. And a friend of mine actually got me got me into pet food, dog food
Mm.
mainly. So that just took off. That was just there was no reason to do it, except I was just bored. So I started off, ended up kind of producing and distributing a dog food in Ireland from it. It was an English dog food.
Hmm.
Since then, a lot of people have done something similar. But yeah, started off with dog food. So I was an exhibitor at Pet Expo for a couple of years,
Okay. Yeah.
and I was kind of looking at what was going on, and then I think it was 2015, 2016. I hope the girls that used to own it don't take this the wrong way, but it, it was going down. They had reached their peak.
Hmm.
And it was an amazing event. It was in the RDS. People loved it, but you could see that they'd reached the peak, and it was getting. It wasn't. I wasn't too optimistic about it anyway for the following years. And one thing led to another. I was an exhibitor at the show, and I got to know the girls, and they had a couple of problems pre-event regarding exhibitors and the schedule and everything. There was everything
Hmm.
going wrong for them at the last minute. So I kind of stepped in and kind of helped out. Um, and I think they noticed that. And then
Yeah.
they just started talking about saying, would you be interested in this? And I was like, no, I've got like four companies. I work 7 days a week. I don't even have time to do this
I've
dog
enough
food. But
headaches.
yeah. And like the dog food was literally, that was my tour job at the time.
Hmm.
So then when I took over the Pet Expo, um, it was still my tour job. It wasn't my
Yeah.
first job. So I had
Yeah.
I had 2 years, 2 or 3 years of having two other businesses, full time businesses, and then the Pet Expo was like once or twice a year, and then that kind of grew. Um,
Yeah.
excuse me, and then 2019, it was okay. I'm getting rid of the dog food. I'm getting rid of the websites. I'm getting rid of the transport. I'm getting rid of the two or three other companies, and I'm going to focus on Pet Expo because it was nice. It was it is you can really enjoy it if you do it properly. Um,
Hmm.
And then, of course, it's all down to money. Is there enough money in it to survive, and how much of a risk? And then COVID came in and backfired everything on us. And we
Okay.
literally, when I hit the peak in 2019, so we had Dublin in mid-October, and then we had Belfast 2 weeks later
Hmm.
after doing a Cork in May. And I was like, this is great. So for next year, I'm going to do four. I'm going to do Galway, Cork, Belfast, Dublin, and that's me happy.
Yeah.
And then January started taking bookings in for Cork, and by February, March, everything was
We
cancelled.
all know what happened. And I suppose it hit
Yes.
everyone in the events world. But you mentioned a lot about, the work that goes into it. So let's talk about like the timeline. How much time in advance are you looking at planning a pet expo?
Um, Everyone asks me this, and it's
Yeah.
impossible. So if I calculated the hours, I'd never do it. If you look back at
Hmm.
what you do, because I spend hours every day doing nothing or what feels like nothing, and most of it's just social media and sitting in
Hmm.
front of the computer. So I kicked off Dublin early this year. I kicked it off in the middle of May, the start of May. I
Mm.
started contacting. So I had the venue booked. I had the venue booked from February, March for July, and then I went back
Okay.
and then I booked it for October. So I actually booked it for 2 dates
Yeah.
at the start of the year. Um, and then it was eventually, literally the day before I started contacting exhibitors, I had to go, okay, cancel July, we're going with October. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Um, So we went through that. So yeah, I kicked that off at the start of May, which was a bit. Usually I wait until Cork is done and dusted, and then I roll out Dublin. Um, but there was a few things happening this year. I had to start early just to get
Yeah.
the ball rolling. So you're looking at May. We're starting off, and when you start off, you want to do everything, but you can't. There's certain things that you can't do. There's certain things you can't tell people, and then there's a lot of people that are going, "Oh, Jesus, Michael, come back to me in 3 months' time. Come back to me in 6 months' time." But like, there's two people that emailed me today looking for a stand. I'm like, I'm full. Like, you can't just stroll up a few weeks beforehand and expect that I'm going to have a couple of stands. Now, I'm saying that I've had one or two cancellations this week and last week, so you might get lucky. Not that you get lucky. It's really just it's
How it
most
all
people,
pans out.
including
Yeah.
yeah. Like when I was an exhibitor doing trade
Mm.
shows, I never booked in 6 months in advance or 3 months in advance. Or
Yeah.
if I did, I'd be booking in, but I wouldn't be keen on paying for it. I'd rather pay for
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So
That's
like,
always the problem as from the vendor side is obviously the cash flow is important,
yeah, I
but
know, and it's not like EP. EP, you book EP like 12 months in advance because you have to.
mm,
With Pet
yeah,
Expo,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
not there. We're not there yet with Pet Expo. But yeah, sorry, going back to yeah, I kicked off basically in May, and then it's nice and slow, and you're just starting the basics. But then um, I was away. When was I away? It was the first week in August. I was away, so I
Hmm.
was getting busy in July. But I kept saying to myself, right, I've got a week away in lovely County Mayo, so everything was everything was holding out for there. And then when I came back from Mayo, I hit the ground rolling. But
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest, I tried to take 4 or 5 days off up in Mayo,
Hmm.
and when I got back from Mayo, I was too busy, and I was kicking myself because I was like, I should have, I should have done, I should have taken Mayo. Sorry, I should have had the little holiday maybe 3 or 4 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Um, it took me a week or 2 weeks to catch up on the small stuff that I was missing out, and it's
Yeah.
literally only 5 6 days. But like, it's you're on your phone, you're sitting down, you're trying to enjoy yourself with a few days off, and you're trying to also give somebody an email that's actually pretty important for both sides.
Exactly.
So since basically the 18th of August, I'm every day, every single day, 6 to 8 hours a day, just social media, emails, floor plans, marketing, everything. There's loads going on in the background.
Absolutely, I can imagine. And like from a vendor perspective, events like this are so important. We know it ourselves, this is it's our calendar for the year, and it's trying to figure out where we're going to be and where we're going to meet our customers, and build our brands, so it's so important. And like you say, a lot of people are really expecting answers to emails and phone calls because they care about their business so much, and they care about their events plan so much. So it's I can get that's
It's
really, really important as well.
for the newbies, it's really important. There's guys that do this 30, 40 times a year, and
Hmm.
it's simple to them. And then there's new guys that are they're putting their heart and soul into this. They do. It depends on what they're selling, what they're building, what their services are. I had a lady today asking me for uh, how do you describe that? I put an email out to all exhibitors about car parking at the
Mm.
event because it's very important, and I'm fairly meticulous with small things that can escalate. So I tell all the exhibitors this is where you have to park. And there's 3 car parks, but this is the car park you have to go to. This is on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have a security guard there telling you what to do. And she came back, it's her first event, and she asked me for a photograph of like a Google map image to show her where the car park was. Now, it was a great idea, but it's also, I went on the Google Maps and I was going to screenshot it and I was going to send it to her. I said, no, I said, she doesn't need this. She's only panicking. I just went back to her and said, don't worry about it. The security guard at the gate, you can't go wrong. It's when you come in, he's going to point to you where the car park is. And by the way, it's it's where all the other cars are because she's going
Yeah.
to be there on a Friday. All the exhibitors are going to be told where to park and she can't get wrong. But it made me realize, hang on a second, how many people don't know the venue, how many exhibitors, their first time. How big is this for this girl? Like she's really kind of sitting at home. It's 3 weeks to go and she's thinking, where am I going to park?
Hmm.
So I had to try and understand from her point of view
Yeah.
how important the little things are. Where with me and you and other exhibitors that have done it loads of times. You don't even read the emails. You don't have to read the emails.
Yeah, because you've asked those questions before and you've figured them out along
Yeah,
the way. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But
And I
we have to remember that exhibitors, for the guys that are doing it their first time, it's their biggest event of the year, or maybe their only event for some of them, or their first event ever.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
need to try and facilitate all of them as best as we can.
Yeah. So, and you caught yourself saying "we" as well earlier when we were chatting, and and you corrected yourself to "I." And I know we do it now. Chris and I are both in Ruby Reese, so I suppose we've got a valid "we." But again, when we say "we," people tend to think that we've got like a team with a skyscraper somewhere here in Cork City, and it's literally just the two of us. So you're doing a lot of this work all on your own, right?
Yeah, basically. And years ago, it used to be the opposite. Years ago, people would try and advertise their event or their company or their business as big as possible
Mm.
because the theory out there was, oh, well, if you make yourself look big, people will think you're big and then they might pay you more or they might think it's a better event. Where this year, I'm kind of doing the opposite because people have to realize, they have to realize it's me and it is me and it's nobody else. I have no staff. I do have people that help me over the 4 days, and I do have contractors that work for me that build the stands, and I have a PR company. I have somebody on social media. I have somebody on graphic work. I have printers. To loads, but I don't have I don't have somebody working for me 5 days a week that I can just pick up the phone and say, we need to do this, we need to do that, or can you do this? Can you put together an Excel sheet for me with a list of potential clients? Or everything is made. So
Mhm.
that's where the 6 or 8 hours a day for the last 6 weeks gets filled. And sometimes I sit here and I switch off at 9, 10 in the evening after being on all day. And I just have to switch off and I have to say, right, stop. Tomorrow's another day. But
Yeah,
I have I have a whiteboard on the desk. I have a whiteboard on the wall, and
yeah,
I just scribble down. I just scribble down everything, because every day you're thinking, I'm terrible for doing 3 or 4 things at once.
yeah, yeah.
So, uh, so it is. It's overwhelming, and every year it's the same. You need to hire this. You need to do that. I can't hire somebody because there's not enough money in it to actually hire somebody. But this year, I have kind of gone above and beyond what I've ever done. And
Hmm.
I have somebody helping me with social media, and I have somebody just literally doing graphics, doing displays for me. And it's brilliant because all my ideas that I've been trying to do for the last few years, and I spent hours on the computer, on Facebook, on Instagram, I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. And then now it's just, okay, I need this, I need that. So I can express in my lingo what I'm
Hmm.
looking for, and then they come back to me, and then I pull it out on social media, and I'm like, yeah. So, and it's literally only this week and next week is the busy week. So up until now, we've only done like 5 or 6 small things regarding social media and stuff. But yeah, going back to what you asked, it's all me, and the email last week to all the exhibitors. Um, I had to edit the email because the
Hmm.
whole bloody email was we and us and our. And then I went back and I changed it to I, and then I put a little paragraph in to say, you might notice that I've emphasised on I and not we, and then I tried to explain it to the new guys, and then I ended up deleting it. And I just said, you know what, they can find out one way to do that, and I get that every year because a lot of people will say, okay, well, who do I look for when I get there? If you're setting up as an exhibitor, and so you look for me. Oh yeah, but what if you're not there? I will be there. I'm always there. I'm there for the 4 days. I'm there 14, 16 hours a day. And if you need to ask any question about anything, the only person that knows the answer is more than likely me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's just find me, and then I'll be able to answer that.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's
Amazing.
what I'm trying to do. And then the there's a few people being on to me about emphasizing everything that I'm doing and try to get that out on camera, try to get it on social media. That's what we're going to try and do this year. But this is my first time. this is the first time I've been on camera, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's going to be watching this and the amount of people that have been talking to me over the phone, communicating with social media or email, and they know this guy called Michael, and oh yeah, he works at the Pet Expo, or you get that all the time. What
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
do? And I'm like, well, I am the Pet Expo. Yeah, but what do you do? What's your job? I had dogs just onto me. I says, I own it. I run it. Yeah, but what do you do? I do everything. Okay, so are you like CEO? Are you manager? Are you events managers? No, I'm everything.
All of the
I'm the
above. Yeah.
yes. I'll have the sweeping brush on the Saturday and the Sunday. I'll have the sweeping brush. I'll be cleaning dog poo off the floor. I'll be cleaning the bathroom. I'll be I'll be on the front door talking to people. I'll be at the back door doing security. I'll be in the main arena, kind of organising the dog show. And yeah, it all just ties in together. But yeah, that's what we're going
And
to try and focus on this year. It's just try and get it out there that it's me that's behind the scenes trying to do everything.
And I suppose just to emphasize like the magnitude of your job, you've so much to do. Like if someone hasn't been to Pet Expo in Dublin before, you know, do you have some numbers off the top of your head, like how many visitors it normally has over the weekend, or how many vendors are there, how many dogs are there? Like it's huge. I don't know how to put it into numbers. Is there a way to describe it to people?
Yeah, there is, and we've learned the hard way.
Hmm.
And it really depends on the weather, and it depends on the weekend that's involved. So,
Yeah.
excuse me. What year was it? 2018. We had we had a queue. It was 400 meters long out the
Hmm.
front of the building, and I was walking up and down the car park telling people, guys, it'd be only 10 minutes. You'd be so I was, well, as people were getting to the front door, I was like, sorry, remind me, how long were you waiting? And it was 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
Hmm.
So I was walking to the end of the queue and I was saying, guys, you'll be in 10, 20 minutes or 10, 12 minutes. And then we had extra people on the front door and we did it's a cash only tickets, tills, card only, just to try to speed it up. But the problem that year was everyone turned up at the same time.
Hmm. Of course.
So we learned from that and we try to emphasize about getting there early. And we don't want, it's not like other events. It doesn't start at 8 or 9 in the morning. It starts at 11 because
Mm.
the exhibitors are exhausted. It's 3 heavy days. An 11 o'clock start is enough for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, so we just try and the whole idea is we try and fill the 11 to 6. So if anybody asks me any advice on what time to arrive early or arrive late. Don't
Yeah.
arrive at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Um, now, in saying that, it is what it is. The venue is fantastic for what we do, for what we get away with. Um, but yeah, and then weather permitting, last year, um, rainfall was a disaster. So our car park is, although it's huge, um,
Hmm.
we still have an overflow car park which is on grass. I mean, it's on a slight slope, so
Hmm.
um, we make sure that everybody is, there's a path that comes around. You can park on the grass, but it's a bit of common sense is needed. So we have like 6, 7 people out in the car park just telling people where to park. But last year we nailed it. We were as people were arriving at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock for the afternoon, so to speak. Everybody basically got a parking spot. There was nobody. There was nobody more than 200 meters from the front door, and 95% of the parking was on tarmac. So if somebody came
Hmm.
in a Jeep, we just put them down into the field. But ironically, the field parking is actually the closest parking to the front door. So
Right.
if
Okay.
somebody turned if somebody turned up in a Jeep, we'd say, yeah, go on down there. It's like VIP parking. The only difference is you're parking on grass instead of on tarmac. Um, but yeah, advice for people. The event guide is quite handy. Schedule. We start everything off at 11:30. There's something for everybody. So just have a quick look either on all the socials, the website, and stuff like that, because there's a lot going on. There's 3 dog shows this year.
Hmm.
I haven't even promoted 2 of them. I've only advertised one of them, so the other 2 are actually going out this week. Um, so yeah, there's three dog shows going on, and then there's the main arena, and then there's the small demo arena. Or
Tell us
as
more about that.
where Tail Talks is what we're calling it. Tail Talks is basically a small demo stage. It's in the corner of the venue,
Hmm.
and it's going to be somewhere for people to basically. The idea is you're not being dragged into a room or into a seminar. It's in the corner of the venue, and people can stroll by. You can stop. You can sit down and listen, or you can stand there for 20, 30 minutes. You can stand there for 2 hours, and we have a special guest that's going to do what's the phrase, MC or
Yeah.
hosting? Yeah,
Yeah.
we have an
Host. Yeah.
MC
Yeah.
hosting. Yeah, your good self is going to be tied in for the 2 days. And the idea is that we're giving exhibitors the opportunity to promote what they're doing um, to a group of people, but also to allow the public, well, not to allow, but just to give the public a chance to listen to something. So we're getting myself and Michelle are basically going to put together. Well, we have the schedule together, so we just got to put
Exactly.
together. Yeah, Q&As is going to be a place for people to sit down and listen to, and yeah, it should be good. It should be really good because
I'm
it's
really
not
looking
just
forward to it. I'm really looking forward to you mentioned already. You've given me a sneak peek as to what to expect from guests, and it's brilliant. As anyone that's listening in knows, I love chatting to everyone from all over the industry and the community, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to some really interesting names there. So that's going to be really exciting. The demos in the and the dog shows and everything last year were brilliant as well. So they were something that we all enjoyed watching and taking part in.
yeah, and we've
What?
more this year. Well, that's one thing that I noticed last year, and I think you asked earlier on. I must try and talk about this. Working with live animals is getting harder and harder every year.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
it's impossible to keep everybody happy, especially with social media being so powering. Um, and uh, I always try and put something at the bottom of every promotion to say, don't forget, we're working with live animals here. So if I tell you we're doing this, it doesn't mean we're actually doing it, because on the day anything can happen.
Mhm.
Um, but we've got loads of new stuff, and we have the normal stuff as well. We have sheepdog demos this year. Now, I love the idea of it because I am who I am, but there's a lot of people that probably won't be interested in it. But the sheepdog demos is taking up basically half the area outside the outside
Mhm.
arena, and I'm doing 3 demos a day. And it's getting a big priority, and there's other logistical things to go with it. But I can't wait. I've seen one before, um, up in Galway, up the mountains of Galway, and I just think something like that is amazing. To look at it, to look at a collie or any sheepdog, to do what
Yeah.
they do and how they do it, I think is just it's a work of art, and it's hats off to anybody that's able to do it. So something small like that to me is brilliant, and hopefully when we advertise it properly, the public will appreciate that. But
I'm sure
sorry,
everyone will, and people that are sitting on the fence as well. Like, honestly, go watch it, because, like you say, it's so fascinating to watch people, or to watch the people and the dogs working together as a team to make it
yeah,
happen. Like,
yeah,
it's brilliant, and we've had
I,
episodes recently on gun dogs and on the predatory sequence, and it's so exciting to hear. You know how the dogs are they've been bred. The working lines have been bred so that the dog's nearly born, or a lot of the dogs are born nearly instinctively knowing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's just that their handler is nearly saying kind of left and right. I think is basically what they're
yeah,
how they're
yeah,
guiding them, and that's basically it.
it is. And the pups from when they're literally 6 weeks, 8 weeks old, they just follow the
Yeah.
parents. And I've seen a pup in training, and I've seen the adults showing the pup. And I've seen a dog climb up a mountain out of sight, and bring back 10 sheep and bring them into the front garden of this man's house. And these sheep, you can't even see these sheep; they're up the top of the mountain. And then he says to me, he says, "Watch how he brings them down." So the sheep, the mountain was so steep that the dog brought them down like an like the shape of an
Hmm.
S. So he wouldn't to drop the risk, to lower the risk of the sheep falling or
Yeah.
running too fast. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how does anybody even train a dog to do that? And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you see these sheep, they're coming down the side of the mountain, like so. Just amazing. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's loads going on with the live animals. So we try and promote and advertise as much as possible. We have alpacas again this year, which are going to be pretty interesting. You cannot walk past an alpaca without going, wow, let me have a look at that. And
Yeah.
he's coming over to you and he's kind of having a look at you and saying hello to you. We've got a petting farm, we've Nor Valley Petting Farm. They're like I asked them just to confirm a list of what they're bringing. They're basically bringing everything.
Okay.
So they're going to be outside and inside,
Hmm.
and then so that's for kids of all ages. So again, you can't really if you're walking by a pig at a public event, you have to stop and say hello to the pig, don't you?
Yeah.
Because it's not every day you get to see a bloody pig sitting beside you. But yeah, and then sorry, keep drifting off here. The main arena is going to have demonstrations as well, and then of course the small arena, the tail talk is going to have
Yeah.
loads going on as well. And it's not just dogs. It is there are other things happening. The likes of the lizards and the exotics and stuff like that. They're going to be doing something as well. Um,
Yeah.
we're going to at one stage you're going to bring the alpacas in. We're also like even um at 11:30. So usually we used to start the demonstrations at 11 o'clock. The doors would open at 11, but excuse me, we realised people want to walk around first and have a half an hour having a nosy and get used to the place. So we kind of delayed things. But we're putting the ponies into the main arena for the first hour, just to while it's quiet. So
Yeah.
if you have young kids with you, you can go straight to the main arena, and we're doing photographs of the ponies. Now we're not charging or anything. It's just literally
Hmm.
while it's quiet, let the kids in. Because again, it's not every day you get to stand beside a unicorn pony. By the way,
Yeah.
um,
Very good.
to get the photograph of the pony. So but yeah, that's going to be in the main arena. But then we're still going to have ponies outside. We're going to have ponies inside. We're going to have all the animals from the farm, inside and outside. We're going to have the reptiles, the exotics, um, the alpacas. We have now. We're doing something new this year, and this is a perfect example of how you split pet owners in half.
Hmm.
We have two off-lead areas. So we have a small breed and we have a large breed. But it's the large breed area is going to be 6 foot fence, and the small breed area is
Hmm.
going to be a picket fence. And there's going to be a gate on the large breed area, and it's going to be manned by a professional, so to speak, the perfect person or people
Hmm.
for this actual role. There's going to be basic rules, common sense rules, because it doesn't matter what we do, you always get it. You
Yeah.
always get somebody that's out there for the day, and the dog is on a flexi lead, and he's 35 kilos, and he hasn't been out on a walk for 3 months.
Yeah.
We get it. If call a spade a spade. It is what it is. It does happen. 99.9% of the people that come to the expo are brilliant, and they know
Hmm.
exactly what to do. They have their poo bags. The dogs are trained. Even if the dogs aren't trained, even if they're a bit nervous or whatever, it's a busy place. And so we're trying to have places for everybody, which is why we're emphasizing on the outside. Um,
Yeah. And like you say as well, it's quiet in the beginning, so come early, and it'll be a lot less stressful for your dog if it's their first time going to an
exactly.
event of
Yeah.
that size.
And
And
one of the exhibitors actually said it to me last week about trying to build an area for dogs that are anxious. And we were already on top of this, trying to figure out the best way to do it. The key is space. So
Mhm.
the inside area is always busy and it's always loud. Um, so we've really done what we can outside this year to give everybody the option. We have like 20 gazebos going up outside. So it doesn't matter what way the weather is. You can spend 6 hours outside this year, and you're gonna have all the food vendors are outside, but you're also gonna have gazebos with tables, seating tables, chairs, and then you're gonna have lots of live animals and demonstrations outside. So if you have a dog that's not comfortable inside, you're not going to miss much because everything is going to be happening
You
outside
have
as well.
outside things as well. That's brilliant. And you've been walking around in, your own event, and you've been, working with loads of vendors over so many years. Like, have you noticed lots of trends coming and going, and now what's coming in Ireland as well, across I suppose, the whole pet industry and
Yeah,
the whole community?
yeah. And again, to be honest, it's hard. COVID changed a lot of things
Hmm.
last year
Yeah.
and this year. Um, Especially the background that I have with pet food and stuff, I look at people and go, "Ooh, that's you're risking that. That's pretty risky." But
Hmm.
best of luck. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of new small startup companies. The collar and the harness, the matching sets. There's like a hundred
Hmm.
of them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, last year and this year, I've refused. Not that I've refused. I have a certain loyalty to all my exhibitors, and I only let in a certain amount of the one trade. I try and keep that
Hmm.
under control. For years, it was always dog food. It was like you'd
Yeah.
have 10 or 15 pet food companies knocking on the
Mm.
door. That's changed, and it's brilliant because the dog food companies that are booked in with me this year, it's like I was trying to sell it to them. When they booked in, I said, guys, this is brilliant. There's only 3 or 4 of these. There's usually 10 or
Hmm.
15. So
Yeah.
the you're starting to see a patch of and some of the big names they've just stopped exhibiting, which for me is good. Some people
Yeah.
think, oh, they don't, Royal Canada's not there or whoever. That doesn't bother me at all. I'd rather have Ruby Reese booked in than have
Yeah.
Royal Canin booked in. It makes no difference to me. I'm not chasing big names like that. But yeah, the small guys, I have 3 photographers on a waiting list to
Hmm.
come in because I have a photographer. And I'm not going to take on 3 photographers because then everything that I do this year is for next year. This year's already done. This year was
Yeah.
done last year. Um, Baked dog treats.
Hmm.
Oh, there's, I'm kind of again, I'm trying to be loyal to the existing exhibitors. There's exhibitors that have been with me for 10 years, um, and even the food vendors. So I'll give
Hmm.
you a typical example. I've 2 food vendors that are with me. And last year I said to them, guys, you tell me what you want. I can have five, I can have 5 of these in for say 100 quid each, or I can have 2 of these in for 500 quid each. I says
Yeah.
either way, all I need to do is I need to cover the cost and I need to provide food for the public. So I need to make sure that we don't have any negativity on social media. Um, and the both of them came back and said, whatever you want, Nick. And I said, no. I says, I'm asking you because I want to make sure that you make money, that you're
Hmm.
happy, but also the public is happy. So we agreed on 3, and we went with the 3. And the third person that came in, I explained to them what we were doing.
Hmm.
And in fairness, by Sunday afternoon, the 3 of them were booked in for this year because they had a great event. Now,
And
food,
it's,
as you well know, is gone through the roof in Ireland.
oh,
You're talking,
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
it's terrible. Like, and I'm terrible for it. I go out and I'm like, I'm not paying 15 quid for a burger.
Mm. And it's
But
it's so important as well that you have, like, it sounds like you're limiting in a way the exhibitors, in, you don't want, like you say, 20 people doing dog shampoo or 20 people doing cat treats, because there's only so many people that are going to be interested in that, and then what's left over for everyone else,
yeah,
and like photography, there's only space for so much of that at one particular event, and
yeah.
yeah, it's
And
about keeping everyone
so
happy, isn't it?
exactly, because I know that the guys that are booked in this year, my repeat business is 99%.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
all the exhibitors that are there last year, they're booked in this year. There's maybe out of 120, there might be 5 that booked in.
Hmm.
Now there
Yeah.
could be that could it could be they could be on holidays. They could be cutting
Exactly.
back, and you don't know. But it's not because there was too much of one. And if it was,
Hmm.
well then
Yeah.
they're kind of not doing their job properly. Or as we've always said, if you're an exhibitor and you can't make money at Expo, you're doing something wrong. Because if you have an event where you're being given thousands of customers on your doorstep, if you walk out of there on Sunday night and you're after losing money, there's something not right.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so you have to kind of think, and I know that from experience because I've been there. And you're selling dog food at a pet exhibition, and there's 10 different companies selling dog food. You need you need that unique selling point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
otherwise you're wasting your time. But yeah, I've got guys on a waiting list basically. For photographers, I have dog treats. There's loads of them.
Mm.
The harness, the matching sets. There's last year wasn't pleasant at all. There was about five or six that I had that I just had to say no
Yeah.
because I had to be loyal to the guys that were already booked in. And I don't know whether you probably noticed last year there was probably 5 or 10 people selling harnesses.
Mm. Yeah.
And like and it's also when somebody asks me for information on the event, I have to ask them what they're selling before I give them. I'll give them the information, but I'll go back and I say, guys, I'm really sorry, I can't book
Of
you in.
course.
I've already
It's
got.
Yeah, it's about making the mix work for everyone, I suppose, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
so over the years you've probably come across loads of stories from you've probably got tales that would keep us going all night. But to wrap us up a bit, do you have any stories from the past years that really stand out in your mind?
I've one or two that I can't even mention, but
Yeah.
there's there's a lot of there's a few exhibitors that are just so laxy daisy. It makes you
Mhm.
envy. Um, and then you put out all this information about this and about that, about setups. You set up on the Friday, doors are open at 11. And then these guys just turn up at 10:30 on a Saturday morning thinking the world's going to stop and
Yeah.
we can do this and we can do it. And it just happens every year. And it happened last year and it happened the year before. Um, and I understand that people have logistics and they have 9 to 5s and they have families, but at the same time, if you're doing an event, a 2-day event, and it takes you 3 hours to set up your stand, you don't turn up at 8 o'clock on a Friday night knowing that the venue is closed at 9 o'clock on a Friday
Yeah.
night. But I've had it. I've had it every year. We've had we had one exhibitor in Mallow that parked right in front of the front doors. Remember the setup in Mallow, the front at
Yeah,
the
I
racecourse.
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
bottleneck.
Well, we had a guy that parked right there, right
Hmm.
like 10 feet away from the front door. Um, like 20 minutes before the place was getting open. And now he wasn't. He was planning on leaving it there. He wasn't like parking there for 5 10 minutes. But yeah, every year there's always something, and you kind of you go, wow. Like okay, he's relaxed, he's calm, but he's like 3 hours behind schedule, and there's 100 people at the door. Oh, in saying that, last year was it last year, or the year before? So we opened the doors at 11 a.m.
Mm.
and there's a family outside at like 10 past 10, and I'm like, so we had a gazebo out the front and in out the wind and the rain and whatever. Now the weather wasn't too bad, but um, I noticed this family, and I I actually said it to them. I said, guys, I recognise your face from somewhere. Oh yeah, we were in Cork. I said, yeah, yeah. So I've probably seen you at the dog show or something. She said, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, we do it every year. I said, all right. I said, how come you're so early? She said, oh, we got the train. I'm like, okay, right. What can I do here? And then the conversation went on. Where are you from? And they said Cork. And I'm like, Jesus, it's 10 past 10 on a Saturday morning. This
Mm.
family with I think two teenagers and a dog or two dogs. I can't really remember to be honest with you, but they were there with their tickets. Or not with their tickets. They were there at the door, ready to go. And after travelling from Cork, after telling me they were in Mallow, and then they mentioned, oh yeah, we come up every year. It's brilliant. It's a great day out for us and the family, the whole lot. So straight away, I just gave them free tickets. They were delighted with it, but they were there
Yeah.
at 10 past 10. But small things like that is what makes you kind of proud and makes you,
Oh yeah, the
um,
dedication of your fans, like of the event.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And every year. I get stressed out. So you have 3 days setting up in the venue and
Mm.
so stressful. And then eventually at some stage, you kind of, well, you don't do it till Sunday or Monday, but eventually in around the Friday or the Saturday when things start coming together, you step back and you go, yes, this is all that hard work. It's all coming together. And that's what kind of gives you that proud moment. And then somebody strolls in and kind of does something crazy and you're like, oh, okay, right, we have to change that next year. But
It's
yeah,
definitely,
there's other stories about certain things I just can't say.
yeah,
I'll,
of
I'll tell you.
course.
I'll tell you in 3 weeks. I'll tell you on Friday in 3 weeks.
Yeah, very good. I look forward to it. So it's the joys of working with people and with animals definitely keeps things interesting for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. Michael, thank you so much for coming on and sharing so much of the behind the scenes of your
Um,
events. It's been really interesting speaking with you, and I'm very much looking forward to the event. Thank you very much for
yeah.
coming on, and have a great
Thank
evening.
you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a million.
Thank you.
And once again, a huge thank you to Michael for joining us on the podcast this week and sharing so much of what goes on behind the scenes and into the planning of a large event like Pet Expo. So if you'd like to come along and see what Pet Expo is all about, it will be happening in the National Show Centre in October this year. It's going to be on the 19th and 20th of October, and it will be beginning at 11 a.m. on both Saturday and Sunday and finishing at 6 p.m. As Michael recommended, it would be a great idea to arrive there early if you want to have a kind of a quieter experience and have a great opportunity to see everything that is going on and meet all of the exhibitors. We will have a Ruby Reese stand at the expo, and as Michael and I briefly discussed, I will also be hosting the Tail Talks with Ruby Reese stage as well at the event. If you'd like to check out tickets, the website, the socials of Pet Expo, please do check out our description, and also you can find in the description or show notes Ruby Reese social media and the website as well. If you've got value from this podcast episode, please consider following or subscribing to our channel wherever you listen to this podcast. It really helps us to get out there and in front of more people that are similar to us. That is all for this week. We will be back next week as always, next Tuesday, with another episode. Looking forward to seeing you then, and hope you have a great week.